The latest Joe Rogan experience with Bradley Cooper is one of those episodes that accidentally explains Joe Rogan better than any of his political arguments ever could. Because yeah, they talk about movies and careers and all that, but the real heart of the conversation is both of them basically saying LA is lonely as hell and it messes with your head. And if you've ever wondered why Joe packed up, left California, and built this whole Rogansphere ecosystem in Austin, this episode is basically the origin story. Joe describes Los Angeles as this strange environment where everyone is trying to fill what he calls a hole in their soul with attention and validation. You're constantly being judged, constantly being chosen or not chosen, and that pressure makes people start calculating everything. What they say, how they act, even what they believe politically, all gets filtered through, will this help me get picked? And Joe's argument is that over time, that kills real critical thinking, because you're not reacting to the world anymore, you're reacting to what you think powerful people want to hear.
We grew up like upper middle class, but still I was like, I'm paying for grad school, I took a loan out, and then, so he was terrified. And then I got a job on this show Alias that brought me to LA. But the minute I got there, I didn't know anything about Check the Gate. I didn't know nothing. You know what I mean? I didn't know nothing. I just loved movies. And so I was obsessed, Joe. Obsessed. I would go in the editing room, and I found LA very hard when I went there. I got very depressed. I was like, this is high school all over again.
Me too. That's exactly how I
was like,
felt.
what the, I mean, I went to grad school. I'm in New York City. There's guys that I could relate to and talk about movies. I was in heaven. Then I get this job that I think is going to be the holy grail, and I'm miserable. Living in the first floor of this woman's house, just like, it was crazy. I was like, I didn't know I could be this depressed. I mean, depressed, like I need water, and like the idea of going to the Rite Aid on Sunset and Fairfax was like too much.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was rough.
It's depressing.
Yeah.
When you first go, especially when you're in that
Well, I just couldn't
cold,
get in-
weird environment
Yeah,
of
and
people.
and no one, just no. And I was on a show that was awesome, and everybody's exploding, and like no one. It was like, who's this guy? So that not only that, I'm there, and everybody's like, I'm just like, a ghost.
Right.
So there's that. So your insecurity is just, is just, astronomical.
It was also one of the first times that I ever moved somewhere where I didn't know anyone.
Me too. I knew nobody. J.J. Abrams hired me, and then Berkey, this guy, was the only guy that I knew that he introduced me to. And then I met Jennifer Garner, was like the second person I met. And then, yeah, I didn't know anybody.
It's weird.
Yeah.
They also both keep coming back to how physically isolating LA is. You're in your house, or you're at work, or you're in your car. That's it. No walking through crowds, no random conversations, no mixing with people outside your industry bubble. Cooper points out that in New York, you're forced into real life whether you like it or not. Billionaires, broke artists, office workers, homeless people, everybody is crammed into the same spaces. And Joe says that matters because when something weird or bad happens at work, you don't just go home and spiral in your thoughts. You get thrown back into the chaos of normal life, and it resets you a little. And this part is important because Joe doesn't just hate LA as a city, he really seems to hate what it did to comedy in particular.
I remember I was on the set of the show.
Oh, Brian Klugman, I did know that guy, who's like one of my best
he's
friends. On
great.
that. You know Brian Klugman?
No, I know who he is, though.
Yeah, we grew up since we were like 9.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I was on the set of this show, and a girl gave me a hug, and I realized no one had touched me in weeks. And the hug she gave me, I was like, oh. It was like my battery got recharged.
Dude.
Like I didn't realize I needed a hug.
Yeah,
People
isolation.
say, "Do you need a hug?" Like I never thought like nobody needs a hug.
Right.
No, I fucking needed a hug.
I was very similar.
She's like, "Give me a hug." She
Yeah.
hugged me. I was like, "Oh, thank you."
Yeah.
I felt so good. It's weird. It's a weird feeling.
It's a hell of a place to go. Oh, it is like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a hard time.
Well, the whole environment of LA is so strange because you have the primary industry. If it's not the primary industry, it's most certainly driving all other industries, is a bunch of people trying to make it, right? So it's a bunch of people with a hole in their soul. They need to fill up with other people's attention, and they're coming there to try to get attention. They're coming there to try to make it. And the one thing that they have to do is audition. So you have to try to be accepted by someone. So you'd be judged. You go in there and you get rejected over and over and over again, which just fuels the same like need that's inside you. It like makes it even worse. And everybody's concentrating on this one thing, like trying to get success. And then you realize, like, oh, my doctor wanted to be an actor. Oh, the waiter's an actor. Like everyone's trying to do this thing where you have to get chosen. So then people calculate how they behave and talk and what their political philosophy is and their life philosophy is based on ingratiating themselves with casting directors and with executives, like getting these people to like you. And then these people realize that. So they have like, they're controlling the twigs that work the puppet strings. And it just becomes this very strange environment of a complete lack of any like real critical thinking and any real like embracing any alternative perspectives on things. Everyone is just trying to align their stars correctly so that they can make it.
Bradley Cooper even straight up praises the culture Joe's built in Austin, calling it incredible. And Joe adds another layer to it by saying it lets him be home with his teenage kids while still working, which, again, is not something people usually associate with Joe Rogan, but it actually tracks. For all the talk about fighters, psychedelics, and conspiracy-adjacent guests, Joe is constantly talking about family, routine, training, and having people around him. He doesn't really talk like someone who wants to be isolated at the top of a mountain. He talks like someone who wants a tribe. And here's where it gets interesting, because you can read that two ways. On one hand, maybe it's narcissism. Maybe he likes being the center of a social universe he controls, the king of the comedy castle. That interpretation isn't crazy, but the other read is way simpler and way more relatable. He's just a social animal who doesn't like being alone, and he hated living in a city that made him feel disconnected and constantly judged. And honestly, most people can relate to that basic human desire to be around people who actually like you, not people who are ranking you in their head.
Yeah, that thing that New York has that LA doesn't have is all walks of life are all intertwined. You're walking down the street together, there's a billionaire and a homeless guy and a fucking, ne'er-do-well and an office worker, and everyone's walking to where they go, and they walk into restaurants, and they get in cabs, and they get on the subway, and everybody intermingles. Yeah. Where in LA, it's you get in your car, you drive to a place, and then you go to your house, and you don't ever like walk around.
And if some weird interaction happened on set or someone said something, you're like, oh, then you're just at home thinking about it.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? There's like, well, I went on and did this after that, and I actually took up golf, which is crazy. And I would play at Malibu had this public golf course, and I was like, I got to do something because I'm an early morning. I wake up early. I've always have. So I'm up at like 5:30. And so I did like a 6:47 tee time with these two guys, and that was actually nice. I did that for 6 months, and I would play. But like you just try to find something that, I just need to interact and do something else.
Something that makes you human.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I went
But
to
I have
pool
to
halls.
say, like, I do love, interesting.
Yeah.
Michael Vartan, who was on Alias, huge. Did you ever play pool with him?
No.
Oh, he was huge. He would go all the time.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish I met him.
Yeah, he would go all the time. Yeah, to that one place that had like tons of, I'm sure you know it.
Probably Hollywood Billiards.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, Hollywood Billiards was the spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in New York. That was a big thing for me too. It was like almost hijacked my comedy career because I was playing pool like 8 hours a day. I was playing in tournaments. I was traveling around and going to tournaments. And when I came to LA, that was like one of the few things that made sense to me. Like, oh, I get it. Pool players. I know pool players. I can hang out with them. They're normal people.
That's a great asset you had there.
Having something like that is huge. Martial arts was always like
huge.
That. Having something where you have something that you do. Because if I was only doing acting,
you'd lose your mind.
Where things get messy, though, is when you look at the actual Rogansphere comedians. Because Joe is talking all this community, collaboration, tribe, supportive environment, energy, but a lot of the comedy that comes out of that orbit does not feel communal at all. If anything, it often feels alienating, especially to people on the left. The jokes aren't about shared struggle or collective absurdity. They're often about mocking, owning, triggering, or just straight up antagonizing certain groups. And that's the irony. Joe is chasing this warm, tribal, human connection, but the comedic tone around him is frequently combative and polarizing. It's less, we're all in this together, and more, you're dumb and I'm gonna laugh at you for it. And that's why people criticize the Rogansphere, not just politically, but culturally. It's not that people hate community, it's that the community being built doesn't always feel welcoming unless you already fit the vibe. Which kind of circles back to Mark Maron's broader criticism that keeps popping up in these conversations. Not that Joe is evil, not that he hasn't helped people, but that when you have that much influence, you're shaping not just careers, but the tone of comedy itself. Who feels welcome in clubs? Who feels like the audience is for them? Who feels like the joke is aimed at them instead of with them? And to be fair, Joe would probably say that comedy isn't supposed to be comfortable, and that's not wrong either. But there's a difference between challenging people and building a culture where certain audiences feel like they're constantly being dunked on by default.
I am 100% fascinated with people that love what they do. I can watch people make furniture. There's a guy that I watch on YouTube who just makes desks and tables out of like, what is it called? What is it called? When they take it, when it has the actual outline of the wood. What is it called? They take slabs. He takes like slabs of walnut and makes these tables, and he narrates while he's building it and describes the process of it and how he's trying to precisely align all these joints and these, he's got pegs and holes.
Yeah,
and
it's
he
the
has to
best.
slide it into place.
Live edge slab.
That's it. Live edge.
That's the other great thing about what I get to do. So you do a movie like a Sniper, and you get to be with these people who have dedicated their lives to this thing, and you're watching them do it. Like in Maestro, I got to go to the London Symphony Orchestra. Each person, since they were 4, have been doing this, and they're all unicorns. Do you know what I mean? And
Yes.
Stars Born, all these musicians. It's like even Burn, I got to go to these restaurants and study under these people. I mean, that's the thing that's the greatest thing in the world.
This episode ends up being weirdly revealing. Joe leaves LA because he hates fake relationships, constant competition, and people performing for power. He builds a new scene based on collaboration and proximity. He wants to be home, around his kids, around his people, in a place where success isn't a zero-sum game. All very human, very understandable motivations. But then the cultural output of that scene doesn't always reflect that same warmth or openness. It often reflects a kind of siege mentality, like everyone's under attack and comedy is the weapon. And that contradiction is why people stay confused about Joe Rogan. On a personal level, he sounds like a guy who just wants connection, routine, and community. On a platform level, he's presiding over an ecosystem that often thrives on conflict, outrage, and cultural division. Those two things don't neatly line up, and this podcast with Bradley Cooper kind of puts that tension on full display, even if neither of them is consciously trying to. At the end of the day, what this episode really shows is that Joe didn't leave LA for politics. He left for psychology. He left because the city made him feel isolated, paranoid, and surrounded by people chasing status instead of connection. Austin, for him, is an attempt to build the opposite of that. Whether that experiment actually creates the kind of community he says he values or just another powerful bubble with different branding is still very much up for debate. But the longing underneath it, wanting to belong, wanting to be around people who aren't competing with you, wanting to feel like you're part of something real, that part is probably the most relatable thing Joe Rogan has said in years.